Good afternoon, everybody. You're very welcome to the Business Supports webinar today, and we're going to be covering a very important topic of why it's important to have instant booking on your website. And today's session is going to be delivered by Audrey Eager, who's the Territory Manager for Ireland for Evivo. This is a company who offer particular support to the medium to smaller accommodation providers principally, though lessons I think in Audrey's presentation can be applied both to large operations and other accommodation providers. So you're very welcome, Audrey, and I look forward to listening to some really key information about online booking. So over to you.
Thank you, Steve. As I say, my name is Audrey Eager. I'm Territory Manager for Ireland with Evivo, and I'm hoping to be able to show you some good hints and tips on how to manage instant bookings on your website. Now, I just want to start you off very quickly with just some interesting statistics from a survey we did recently. And it was carried out in the UK and Ireland. And it's just about generally how people are booking online. Now, as you can see here, traditionally, you may be used to people walking in off the street or making bookings over the phone, but as you can see here, 50% of the people we surveyed are actually put off from making a booking if they do have to pick up the phone or email to make a booking in the first place. And what's interesting to note here again on this, in this research is if you break it down to the age group of people who are actually booking online as well, it's just something to consider when you're actually looking at the target market you're aiming yourself at. Who are you selling your rooms to in the first place? Now, the harsh reality is, almost 3/4 of all people are now making their bookings online, and quite frankly, very few people are actually making their bookings whatsoever online, full stop. And again, if we look at how people book and through what device they're using now. So part of our research was we actually went back and asked people, do they have a smartphone, right? Now, a smartphone, for anybody who may not know, it won't unfortunately get up and make the breakfast for yourselves in the morning or for your guests, but it will be, it's a device, it's your iPhone, it's your Android, it's everything that you see people looking at down. They spend hours of the day looking at their phones. So that's what we mean by a smartphone. And the research showed that 9 out of 10 people said they owned a smartphone. Half of these people then said they actually booked their accommodation using their smartphones. So everything is on mobile. And if we go a little bit further again and we look at the trends of how people are marketing in the first place, mobile traffic grew by 125% between 2013 and 2014. Now that is a huge change in the booking patterns, in the physical habits that people make when they actually book online. So that growth is very quick, it's very immediate, and it's going to get even more important. So you do need to be on board in order to be able to capture those bookings out there and be smart about it and be ahead of the game in that respect. Now, going a little bit deeper into the survey we did look further into, into the UK and Ireland, look at it a little bit more on a regional basis. And I just want to emphasize here on this information here that you're looking at the moment, right, that if you choose to ignore the online marketplace, right, if you want to target a market, go to Wales, because 20% of the people we surveyed would prefer to still pick up the phone or email to make a booking. Compared that to Ireland, our own domestic market, just under 70%, just under 7 out of 10 people will be put off by just having to make a phone call or to send an email if they want to make a booking in the first place. And I think that's an important statistic to remember, that this is who you're looking at and who are you pitching yourself out there when you are selling on your rooms as well. Now, so you might be wondering now, okay, I can see the facts and the figures. They sort of do speak for themselves. So I'm not quite on board with being online or having a booking system or on board with having your website tailored that it can attract instant bookings in the first place. Well, best practice is to really get yourself an online booking system. And I just want to reassure everybody, you do not have to be a computer whiz kid in order to do so, right? Because what happens is, what one means is it really starts to look in at your own website in a lot more detail, right? to start off with your website is your way to promote yourself online. Now, and what you sell on your website is about, you know, the overall experience of selling in your establishment or staying in your establishment in the first place. You know, and I think, Steve, there you mentioned in the past that, you know, people do come to Ireland to not sleep and eat. They do actually, you know, they want to experience the country, they want to see things, and they, you know, want to enjoy the overall impact that our country, our hospitality sector has to offer as well. So that applies right through to your website too. And absolutely. You do, you know,
the research you mentioned there, it echoes the research that Fortune Island have carried out, which is very, very similar in the sense that it shows that people who are thinking of going on holiday, as you say, they're not going to a place to sleep or eat. They're really there to experience and to see things, to do things, and they happen to want to stay somewhere because they need to sleep and they obviously need to eat. So these are part and parcel of the experience, but it's the actual reason behind coming is the key thing. And if you can base that on your profile of your customer and reflect that on your website, that's where you get the gold, if you will, the golden nuggets. And as you mentioned earlier, Audrey, that in terms of using smartphones, again, our research echoes that people are more and more now using either smartphones or tablets to make that booking, but principally it's also to do the research. So when they're going on to do a review or a search to find out where am I going to go on holiday, where am I going to take a break, they'll look at the individual websites, and Google will tell you that people will look at anything from 25 to 30 websites before they actually make a booking. And if your website doesn't have the information they're looking for, no matter where they're actually going to make the booking itself, you've lost. So it's very important that your website contains information about what's available to do, a top 10 list perhaps of things to do and see in the locality, as well as information about your own premises. You have something of interest they can see. That's interesting. That looks a really nice place to come and stay. Now, how can I make a booking? How can I actually do the booking itself? So it's part and parcel of having a really good, attractive website with really good, well-written text, good images that sell the location, sell the destination, covered by the information about practically how to get there, where it is location-wise, maps, and so on and so forth, which I'm sure you're going to mention in a minute. But really, it's just to make the point that the website itself is your window to the world, and regardless whether you're a 4-bedroom B&B or a 200-bedded hotel, that's your window out to the world. So you've really got to make the best use of it.
I completely agree on that front, I have to say. Your website is just as important as any money you may invest in getting any printed literature done up, any listing in a guidebook. It is worth taking the time out and doing it properly. We had a question in there about why, from Marie, about why people are put off so much by telephone. Unfortunately, I think us as people, we've just lost that fine art of actually speaking to people. And, you know, the more and more that the world has become technological, the less emphasis there is on personal communication. So it is a big perspective internationally across the world that you can go onto Google, you can go onto sites, and we just don't talk to each other anymore, which is why some people are put off by actually making the booking in the first place over the phone. And they do just their first point of call is going straight to the internet and make their booking from there. So hopefully that will be able to answer that question there. Now, an online booking system. Oh, I think we have another question there coming through. Michelle just asked, have we any data that applies to tourist attractions? It's probably maybe a question for Steve to pick up on. From ourselves, unfortunately not. We concentrate more on the small to medium accommodation sector, and that's where our research would come from in that respect. Now,
well, from our point of view, Audrey, just to mention on Michelle's question there, our research has shown that, again, come back to this fundamental point, that people want to come and do and see things. By and large, unless the particular attraction has what they perceive as being a scarcity value, for example, a concert ticket, or as it happens, things like bike hire in city centres, by and large, people won't book the attraction before they come. They'll actually book that when they arrive. So there's two key messages there. The accommodation providers need more than ever to represent what people can do and see within the locality on their own website, number one. So working in collaboration with attractions and activity providers locally is very important, but also that the actual tourist attractions and activities, their own sites need to be mobile ready, because most people when they arrive will be using their mobile to make that booking and to make that bit of research. So there's two key messages there. Have a mobile ready site, number one, and for the accommodation providers, have that information available, particularly for overseas visitors, because they won't have a concept of distance. So if you can say, well, within half an hour of this B&B or this self-catering or whatever it might be, this guest house, we have this, this, and this attraction that you can really enjoy. So it's important to have them shown as being a map, so the location, and also the time it takes to get from your own property to that particular activity or attraction.
Yeah, and a good quality booking system will help you, take advantage of all that interest in tourist attractions around you as well. And a good quality online booking system really means commission-free bookings coming right through your website. Yes, because these are your own direct online bookings. It means having instant bookings on your website means you're open for business 24/7. That means you can sell into different international markets. It means you can take bookings at different time zones, and it means you're not going to lose out on bookings because somebody has gone elsewhere if you don't reply back to an email in time. It means less admin and work for yourselves, because once the booking is made, there's nothing else left for you to do. Everything is tied around one diary, and from there it'll bounce out to everywhere else as well. Now, you can generate other sources of income by selling extras. I'll come back to that now in a few minutes anyway, so I want to talk a bit more about that. And all your customer information in one place. Yes, a good quality booking system will create a database of all your clients, your guest details in there. So if you want to work later on the retention of your guests, you can send out a bulk email out to everybody, simple as that. You can let your guests know about any special offers you've got that you may not want the online travel agents to know about. So a good quality online booking system will do all of that for you to make your lives easier down the road as well. And more importantly, you can protect your business as well by having a secure booking portal for both yourself and your guests on your website, so the guest can trust that all their details are going to a secure place, and on your side, you're getting proper money coming through your doors there as well. Now, there's a list of questions here, right? Now, in the course of my work working with the Irish market, I've come across, and I've been asked this so many times, and you might be looking at these going, oh yeah, that's what I've taught myself, and it's what we want to just answer very simply is that the simple answer to all of these questions is no, you don't. None of them. Just reassure your mind, because if you're going to go down the road of bringing in more instant bookings, bringing in a management system, don't be scared of the change that we're bringing in place. So when you're looking for a booking system, you may ask yourself, how do I manage them? And it's simple. Find a system that works for you anytime, anywhere, from any device, because not only are your guests online, but your own world can be online too. So once you're ready then to take the next step and jump on board with instant bookings, the first step is to get a booking button installed onto your website, right? As I say, all of those key considerations there we talked about with tourist attractions, mapping, top 10, all of that is all great content for your website. So enhance that and allow people to see it, and then from your website, let that do the work then and let people book on your website instantly, right? So a few little do's and don'ts here in that respect when it comes to focusing a bit more on your website. Do ensure your website is mobile responsive, right? Two key words these days, mobile responsive. Now, if anybody doesn't know what that means, it means your website will automatically adapt to the size of the screen of a particular device. Whether it's a smartphone, whether it's a tablet, it's easier for the guests to see, right? And putting your booking button onto that, of course, your booking pages need to be mobile responsive as well. And being mobile responsive, it actually has a knock-on effect to your visibility on Google. So turn Google on and get your website mobile responsive. Now,
Sorry, Audrey. I think you can also maybe suggest that for those people who are not sure if their site is mobile ready, is literally if they can get hold of a smartphone, an iPhone or Android, put their own website address in and look at it. And can they easily read the information, or does it take a lot of squeezing and scrolling to actually see the information? The text could be very small, it could be cluttered, it could be difficult to read. So that'll tell you what the experience is of the user. So if you're having difficulty, so are your potential customers. So then you need to look at what should I do to make my site much easier to read, much simpler. Imagine somebody standing at a bus stop or taxi rank with the mobile in their hand. Can they simply and easily find your website and book straight away with one hand on their, in terms of their using a keyboard? If they can't, the site isn't as mobile ready or responsive as it should be, and you've got a problem. You need to sort that out.
Absolutely, and the same goes with the booking button. If you hide your booking button too deep into your website, people won't go looking for it. So it definitely needs to be on your home page, and it definitely needs to be on every other page on your website as well. So keep your content up to date, good images. Don't show old images of your rooms on your website too and on your booking pages. Keep all of that up to date. Link in with the tourist attractions. You've got those top 10 tips there that Steve has mentioned as well. So use them wisely and incorporate them into your website. And if anything, if you want to take away one message about today as well, check out what your competition is doing. Go onto their website and see what else that they're doing. What are they offering? Are they selling other things that you're not? Are they selling rates that you're not, And, be objective and take it back to your website and see where you might be able to improve on it. Now, just to focus in a little bit on the don'ts, whatever you do, don't hide your booking button, right? Your website is not about getting the guests to work at booking. It should be as easy as possible for them to book. And it should be easier to book a room on your website than it would be on a third-party online travel agent site, right? I say don't have multiple booking buttons on different parts of the pages on your website either, because that just confuses the guests again. And when it comes to the placement of your booking buttons on your website, I always use this little story of you're going into a supermarket and you want to buy a litre of milk. Now, you'll always find the milk section at the back of the shop, right? Because the supermarket doesn't want you to leave with just a litre of milk. They want you to leave with the chocolate and the biscuits, if you're like myself, and and actually spend more money than what you had intended to pay on the way out. Your website is much the same. It's about placement and putting the booking button in the nice visible place where people will see it so that they can actually book straight away of your website, okay? Now, don't complicate your room setup, right? Keep it nice and simple for the guests to understand your rooms, how they come across, and keep it very clear. And whatever you do, the biggest no-no on your website is really don't link it in to online travel agent sites, right? Because these sites are competition to your website. And again, if we go back to the supermarket analogy again, you're not going to go into a supermarket and see them proactively advertising on one of their own competitors. And the same applies again to your own website. Keep your website purely for your own bookings. This is your own online business. So don't do the work for other people. Do it purely for your own website there again in that respect, right? Now, another key area that you should start to focus in on then, once you've made that decision, right, I'm ready to go further online, is to start understanding a bit more about your rate plan and what you're offering out. So to start off with, make sure you do know your key seasons, right? Know if there's any local festivals, events, big games happening in the area, and twig your rate plan accordingly, because there is money to be made out there. So be brave. Tweak it by a couple of euros, and then you never know, if you don't try, you'll never find out. Remember, do you keep your weekend rates the same as your weekday rates? To capture more business travelers, drop your rates into the midweek. If you want to increase your midweek occupancy, drop your rates by a little bit, and do remember that a Sunday night is not actually a weekend rate, it's a midweek rate. So tie that into your rate plan as well. Now, they always say the early bird catches the worm, so be prepared to have your rates on display for at least 24 at the most 24 months in advance, because people are planning, people are watching, and just even if it means leaving your rack rate, your basic rate out there on your website, on your booking pages, it means that there's opportunity for somebody to come back later on as well. And don't be shy about going back and revisiting your pricing strategy every couple of months, right? Because the market changes. Events get cancelled, events get announced, you know. So go with what happens, go with the trends there, and you know, a good quality booking system will give you that flexibility where you can go in and play around with your rates if you want to as well. Now, just wanted to focus in, I mentioned earlier on about, you know, selling extras and generating other extra revenue, right? Some of the establishments that are using our system actually make more money from selling extras than they do from the rooms themselves, right? Now, by an extra, what I mean is you could offer a late checkout. You could sell breakfast on site. You could distinguish between a full Irish or a continental breakfast. If you do luggage transfers, you could sell them on your website. You know, any local activities going on, you could potentially sell them on your website. But this is about making you stand out from the crowd, right? Because again, what you'll find selling on an online travel agent site are your rooms. But what you sell on your website is the overall experience and extras that you won't get charged commission on, remember, but you can sell them on your website. So do, you know, open yourself up to generating, you know, good other sources of income for yourself, and make sure you've got a good booking system that will allow you to do that for yourself too. Right. Now, we came up with this lovely heading here, well, I should say this lovely saying, and it's sort of stuck in our heads, which is no heads on beds means no money under the mattress, right? So your booking system should allow you to actually offer out special offers that will help improve your occupancy levels, right? So entice people to come in and book off your website. We all love a deal, right? So an early bird discount. If somebody is going to book out, you know, a good year in advance, well, reward them and give them a bit of a discount off, right? If somebody wants to, you know, if you want to offer out a 3 for 2 night deal, you know, you can sell it on your website. And some of these you can't sell off an online travel agent site. So again, this is about driving more business through your own website, and it's commission-free too. So make yourself stand out from the crowd. Another good exercise I mentioned earlier on about checking out your competition. Again, see what they're doing and maybe do something better to entice more people to book off your website in the first place.
I think, may I want to just point in that, as you said there, that the key difference between setting your own website and working through an intermediary or third party is that they would, by and large, be selling inventory. They're interested in selling the room. Whereas you're in a position, it's your business, you can partner with activities, attractions, and so on locally and offer a package. You can also offer upgrades. You can also offer special additions, whether it's a bottle of wine, whether it's, as you mentioned, a pet lunch or something special, which you can offer that as an incentive to set yourself a little bit apart from just a B&B, you know, night breakfast and accommodation. So whatever you can do that sets you apart from the rest of the competition, we say, and will make it a little bit more interesting and attractive for the buyer. You might have a special niche market that you're going after. Again, the research that we've carried out indicates there are different profiles of customer who represent those who are more interested in coming to Ireland. And if they perhaps are interested in, let's say, the culturally curious, one example, and they'd be interested in fine dining, or they're interested in heritage or culture, well, what in your locality is of interest to that type of visitor? Are there particular historical sites, or are there particular museums or concerts or something like that which may be of interest? In which case, showcase that on your website. If there's something for the younger market, the social energizers, are there something locally which is active, high energy, which again you can profile on your business? Are you going after, for example, a particular niche like motorcyclists, for example? A lot of people now are beginning to realize that touring people coming on bikes don't mean Hell's Angels, but we mean people who are, good visitors in terms of they're using a motorbike and they're going down the Wide Atlantic Way, or they're going along the island's ancient east. Do you have facilities where they can park their bikes securely? You can dry their gear, this sort of thing. So something which sets you apart from someone down the road. Are you a pet-friendly establishment? Anything like that which sets you apart means you can go for a particular part of the market that somebody else cannot, and you can benefit accordingly. So it's all of these little things make up. There's no one magic wand that does everything, but it's all these little individual things that make up your offering which sets it apart. And if you can put all those together, and simple ways, ask your customers, what are they looking for? What are you doing? What can you do more that you can't do without spending lots of money perhaps, but just offering it, packaging it a certain way that is attractive to them. And again, if you're dealing with overseas visitors, I think maybe you're going to touch on the topic of what about multilingual? What about using different languages, for example? If you're going after the French market, do you have a website in French, or a page on your website in French, or emails already written that you can respond? So whatever you can do to make it that little bit easier for your customer, and then you've got a chance of getting that particular booking.
Yeah, and so that's something that we cover ourselves, because working in our owners who are using our system, they are appealing to the French market, the German market, not always just the English-speaking market. So you have to have a good booking system in place for yourself that will shows the currency in different, whether it could be Sweden, whether it's the UK, all of that adapts to where the person is looking from at home on their computer or on their smartphone to begin with, and then it will automatically translate it in as well. And it is a valid point that, your website is not just selling to the Irish market, it's selling internationally, So ask, there's a very good point there, ask your guests as well what they want. And then, if they are a niche market, if they are the bikers coming through, you can package up a deal for them, and that will only be something that is on sale on your website and that nobody else will see there again in that respect.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So that's great, because again, it's sort of at the end of the day, you're trying to, as you say here, trying to maximize occupancy and get, fill that last room, or make sure that at quiet times of the year you can extend the season, or when you have something happening, as you mentioned locally, festivals, events, that you can, piggyback on that and say, okay, what can I do to try to let people know I exist, number one, and I can offer this really good experience with a lovely, personalized service which you can't get in a larger establishment perhaps, but you use that, make sure people know about that and make sure people can recognize that. And this comes back to even things like testimonials on Tripadvisor, that people who've stayed with you and enjoyed the experience, let them tell the world. Because people do, again, research shows they do look at peer sites such as Tripadvisor. And one thing I'd certainly say, without any hesitation, always respond to a review, good or bad. Just don't leave it there. Respond to it, because people will recognize and respect you for doing that. And again, it'll put you in a better light.
Yeah, and so once we're clear about, what you're doing and what you're selling online, right, now we can put it all into practice, and then we see that the bookings will now start to come through the door. And of course, anything online, you want to protect your business as well. So you do need to have a secure booking environment in place for yourself, right? Now, we have this abbreviation here called PCI. PCI is an industry norm, right? And it's the rules and the guidelines that are in place for the handling of credit card details. And we all need to be, in compliance with that, because we've all heard horror stories about things going wrong on the internet, and we don't want that to happen to your website. We want the guests to be able to trust your website and know that everything is secure, it's a secure environment when they pass over the credit card details to it. Now, other things, a way of protecting your business as well, always be aware that, bearing in mind you're pitching to the international market as much as the domestic market. Some countries prefer to use certain credit cards, so always remember that in the back of your mind. Pre-authorize the cards through your system, right, because that avoids the suffering of no-shows. which results in less loss of revenue for yourselves as well. And preferably, you know, do take a deposit at time of booking, because this removes the risk of non-payment and loss of revenue for your business. And you do know you've got some of the money up front at time of booking there as well. So there's definitely ways that you can protect yourself. You know, if that is one of your concerns about operating online, you want to have a secure booking environment. It's a two-way relationship between yourself and your guest, you know, but it does take out that fear factor out of operating online there now in that respect. So I think that's enough for me at the moment. I just want you to sort of, if anything, take away 3 takeaway messages from this. I need to just focus in the back end on what I was starting off there earlier on about some of the statistics, you know. I just want to remind people, look, 73% of people make all or most of their bookings online. You know, 3/4 of the population is doing that, you know. 68% of people in Ireland alone are put off making a booking if they do have to pick up the telephone or email. You know? And then 65% of same-day bookings are done online by people using a smartphone. So these are all important considerations when you are looking now at where you've been over the last couple of years, where are the trends going, you know, and how do you plan in advance, because these statistics, these percentages are just going to get higher, because it's a brave new world out there online. So do jump on board, because it's quite an exciting place to be as well. There's lots going on. So take the jump and jump into online as opposed to jump into Ireland.
No, before we finish up, in case anybody else may have any other questions they'd like to pose to Audrey, just that we have, you know, a couple of moments. Obviously, some really good information on the site. This presentation will be uploaded onto our YouTube channel the next day or so you can refer back to it. And I'll also make a plug here that there's a whole lot of other webinars up there, so please take your time to have a look at it on all different aspects of digital and sales topics, which you may find of interest, and they're constantly being updated, so please use them. But the one thing I also wanted to mention that Audrey mentioned earlier on about the importance of images, and you may not be aware that on the we have a content pool which basically has about 20,000 images which we've collected over the recent years and put into this particular database. So it's available for access to anybody, it's free of charge, and anyone can go on to fortuneireland.ie website, you register, and as long as you confirm that you're going to use the images with a reference to the person who took it, the copyrighted reference, once you accept that, then you can use any of the images, and they are covering all different aspects of scenic, rural, urban, different types of scene and images which you may well find useful and appropriate for your own website, your own business. And I would say to you, once you've used any image, always make sure you tag. In other words, put a description on the image, which is called an alt tag, which basically says not just this is a shot of the garden, but say this is a garden Leitrim or garden in wherever it is, and your name of your property. So when anybody is putting that information in, it'll come up. So it could be a wedding venue, it could be a golf venue, it could be a walking trail, it could be a food trail, whatever. But use the key words that people might be using and put that into your text in terms of key phrases, but also on the images. In other words, anything you can do to make your website more easily found works in your favor. So always remember that. That's a very important thing.
Yeah, I think we have some questions coming through. Sorry, Steve, I was just, somebody is just asking there now about, you know, not feeling particularly comfortable with technology. You know, you don't have to be a whiz kid to be able to manage all of this, because any good supplier of yours is going to do training with you, right? And it's there to help you along the road, and that's what we do quite a lot. You know, you are scratching your head wondering, oh my God, how do I go about this? Well, that's why you lean on somebody, your supplier, to take you through that process. And, you know, once we get you through the training, we get everything set up for you. You know, you do have that period to lean on us and ask questions if you wanted to, but you do have the support available. Now, if you wanted to speak to somebody, there is somebody available 365 days of the year. You know, any quality supplier is going to, be able to help you out when you need the most, which is around weekends, when you're at your busiest. And nobody wants to have an issue with a booking or worry about something else, and managing 10 other balls in the air at the same time. So, always have a support team, a supplier who can deliver that for you 365 days of the year. Now, there's another question just come here about asking if booking systems are expensive. Now, just to put it all into perspective, right, we predominantly work with establishments that are 10 rooms or less when it comes to guest houses and B&Bs. And just to give a guideline on it, we would be looking at something as little as €2 per room per month to at the most about €6–7 per room per month, because it is service-based as well. So, we can easily do something for somebody for about €400 for the year. I think that's a good investment, and it pays for itself in the long run when you actually see the bookings coming through your website, and the savings that we may make when it comes to commissions you're paying out to online travel agents as well. So hopefully I've been able to answer that question there as well. Now, there's another question here. How do I manage my own bookings versus availability online? That's an easy one, because you would always have one diary and everything is fed off one diary, right? The more people you can have singing off the same hymn sheet, the better it is. So, you get a booking over the phone, you put that booking into your diary, and it will instantly update your availability everywhere online, and vice versa as well. So it should be, an online booking system should be a one-stop shop for everything. Now, I'm sure, Steve, if we have any more questions that are coming in.
Yes, indeed. I see there's one coming in now. Are there examples of successful large group online bookings? I'm not sure whether that's something which is normally catered for in online booking packages.
Yeah, it's definitely something probably we could follow up afterwards, because it looks like it's a bit of somebody has a particular scenario in mind there in that respect. So we ourselves that we can certainly cover group online bookings. Just that if there's a particular scenario in somebody's mind that they want to get answered, we can address it later on.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, look, just to mention, thank you very much indeed, Audrey. It's brilliant.
My pleasure.
And I hope everybody enjoyed the information as mentioned. It's being uploaded to our YouTube channel over the next day or so. Just to mention, the next webinar we have is on the 11th of November, and that's creating a strategic sales and marketing plan. And on the 16th of November, we have leveraging guest loyalty by effectively managing your